this is absolutely the worst era of music I've ever seen when I'm talking about pop culture and um, what else? Pop culture, music, all that stuff into it, the music era, etc. So, first of all, I will be talking about facts and some of my opinions in sales and everything and how the music industry is going because I just have a lot to talk about. Okay, so the first thing is peer sales. Peer sales. Okay, so prior to the streaming era, we had cassette sales, CD sales, we had vinyl sales. Those are pretty much the main consumption of it at some point before until like the 10th. So the peer sales is when someone goes to the store physically, buys a CD, which is a fact. Like that's a physical CD is when you go buy the physical CD from whatever your favorite artist is. And there's also cassettes. You can just buy that if you know what a cassette player is. If you're not old like me, I'm not old, but like I'm in my late 20s and I'm almost 30, so we kind of grew up on CDs, boom boxes and all that stuff, the 2000s gadgets, the 90s stuff. But vinyl was huge, but not until like 6 years ago, vinyl sales have skyrocketed through the SoundScan Nielsen era, which is a chart that takes account into streaming, sales, radio, peer sales, etc., all that stuff. And at a point, I think the peak of music culture died in 2014. There was a shift peer sales to from peer sales to streaming. You know that Taylor Swift thing with her Spotify when she took off her music? That really took a big turning point before she got into a Reputation era. And also Lady Gaga is Lady. Here's some good peer sales artists: Mariah Carey, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Celine Dion, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston when she was alive. Back then, all these people, they could sell albums. Like what Beyonce said in that clip, she said, people are trying to sell quick little singles. People are not making albums anymore, which is so true. Beyonce spelled hard. People are not making albums anymore. People aren't doing full body work. All these singles just burn out all the time, and they're just trying to sell these quick little singles with no longevity. And that's another thing. The longevity on the charts. It's absolutely insane how many songs do not go past 35 weeks on the chart. You see Dua Lipa, she got 4 songs off her album featuring Estelle that had charted for over a year on the Billboard. That is what these music industry people want. They want the longevity. Taylor Swift's longevity, Miley Cyrus's longevity, Lady Gaga's longevity, Beyonce's longevity. We got Mariah Carey. She was huge in sales. Um, Britney Spears. Like these albums in the 90s and early 2000s, you could sell these albums. It's actually quite insane because also you got a lot of the male singers that had great peer sales at one point, but like the streaming era has ruined the charts. It's not necessarily bad, but these new artists from I would say after 2013, they aren't selling like they used to. One, the climate of music has changed, which is peer sales are not the main forefront of the music industry right now. But if you sell the peer sales, you will get more money than streaming because streaming services, you have, unless if you're making like over 1 billion streams, if you have hundreds of millions, you're not making any money they do not pay you that much for streams. Unless if you're already an established artist, you are getting diddly squat. You might be getting a few $100s, which is not much. Because these big artists, you got Ariana Grande, you got Dua Lipa, you got Billie Eilish, you got the new girl Olivia Rodrigo. She's making headways. All these new girls, they're gonna start running pop, and unless you can establish a career with longevity, you should. The worst thing for artists to do is only have one demographic. You are not gonna have longevity if you're just all your fans are girls. All your fans are girls. You need to know how to expand your demographic. That's what Lady Gaga did. She did her Joanne era, her Yeehaw era. Madonna in her sex book. People did not like her doing that at the time because that was anti-conservative and she was dragged to filth back then. But nowadays, people are more open to all this crazy stuff people are doing. But in the end, if you don't have a wider audience, you will not reach as many people. This goes a lot in boy band groups. Most of the demographic is teenage girls and girls in their 20s. As in, which would probably be between the time period from like the 50s to 60s, 70s, 80s. More predominantly in the 90s, you have boy band groups who, like let's say NSYNC, Four Town, 98 Degrees, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. You had, the Five. Oh, you had like the boy groups. You got New Edition. You got New Kids on the Block. Like all these boy bands out here. It's absolutely crazy how much they're. How I was gonna add some more groups, but I was just gonna say that all these groups, majority of their fan base is women, and I mean there are some men, but majority of the demographic is women, and you can only reach the most people if you expand. Like as I was saying, another group, Westlife, that's like another big boy group. You got and then the 2010s and stuff. You got Big Time Rush. You got The Wanted. Rip Tom Parker. I miss that man. And then you have these and then you got the manufactured pop stars, like industry plants. Like, if you know, you know, you got a lot of industry plants, but some people don't want to admit it. And also the thing about the music industry is that the one thing I hate is being self-made. Self-made is a myth. Can be debunked so easily. Self-made is a myth. Everybody has help in some way. It just depends where in the ladder you get the most privilege. For example, the nepotism girls, all the nepotism girls, people in famous families who have a career, they have so much accessibility to all this stuff to be able to, they can do whatever they, not necessarily do whatever they want, but they have enough resources to get producers. You got producers, you got writers, you have studios, you have all the equipment to make this music. People are privileged, all the white people. Like Miley Cyrus, she recognizes her privilege. Ariana Grande, her parents, they weren't necessarily famous, but they're very, really well off and wealthy. She had the resources. Lady Gaga, she had a lot of resources. Beyonce, she has a lot of resources. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, they're well off and have a lot of resources for their kids. And much to a lot of people, we cannot deny people's talents. Just because they're privileged doesn't mean they're not talented. Two things can coexist at the same time, if you know what I'm saying. Another thing I wanted to talk about is we're in this era of nostalgia and samples. So much sampling. You got Mariah Carey being sampled. You got Donna Summer being sampled. You got Nelly being sampled. You got just you know that Get Out of Your Mind song, Icy, Sweetie, Keyless has been getting sampled, you know, there's so many samples. Tate McRae sampled on Don't Come Back, Nelly, if you want to take a ride with me. Like, we're in an era of where there's so much sampling, nothing is original. I mean, it is true. The for fact is there's only so many notes and there's only so many chords in music. And at some point, people will be doing the suing. And there's so many lawsuits. For example, you got Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines. That was sampled. He had to pay up for that. You got Katy Perry's Dark Horse. She was sued, but she won. You got Ed Sheeran and the TLC, you know, No Scrubs and Shape of You, which, I don't know. Ed Sheeran is a whole nother topic because his sales are absolutely insane. His Shape of You era was over 80 million. Over 80 million. That's up like for like the singles. Like he sold so much just for that one song. Like, oh my gosh, it's absolutely insane. Then you got on the samples, I know some people, like for example, ABBA. ABBA is so hard to get a sample from. I know there are a few people who were able to sample. You got Ava Max. She was able to sample Emotions, but she never released it. Girl, if you're listening to this, you better release Emotions because we're all waiting, girl. I love you, Ava Max. Samples are another huge thing. You got these mediocre artists who don't give nothing. They just slap their names on tracks, and you know they don't give nothing. They just give bare minimum and whatnot. Dua Lipa, she's not. Dua Lipa is not mediocre. I think she's doing great. Future Nostalgia era is probably the biggest era since 1989. Um, it's absolute. Not just that, but Billboard sabotaging my girl Dua. She has not had a number one hit. Levitating was iconic, and then you got Break My Heart. And then you got Ariana Grande. She was the first person ever to have the first, second, and third chart positions since the Beatles. And she's a woman. And she's setting records. Lady Gaga set so many records. Taylor Swift is setting records. Um, and then Doja Cat. People calling Doja Cat not a rapper. Girl, come on. She's a pop singer and a rapper. She can rap too. People need to stop discrediting Doja Cat because she knows what she is doing. And also this we're in the fast food era of music. People are putting out singles upon singles. They're not releasing albums. People keep releasing 9 to 12s. I believe in quality over quantity. I mean, I guess yeah, quality over quantity. You could make the best music. You can make the best music. Like if you have good producers and writers, you can do whatever you want. You can do high quality music consumed for people. But you know, most of the time, these really amazing singers and dancers do not get enough credit. For example, Alice Chater, she can dance. She's trained in ballet. She can dance. She can sing. She is a triple threat, and she puts on a show. I love Alice Chater. She can sing, and her song "Thief" and "Hourglass," she can hit whistle notes like Mariah Carey. So can Ava Max. So can BB Rexa. But do they get their flowers? No. And yes, BB Rexa does have a diamond song. Alice Chater, she needs that push. She could be the new next girl. And she's up there with Mariah Carey vocally. Like, the girl can sing. And go watch her covers. Like Ava Max, she can sing. But some of the people who sing, they're multifaceted. So, like, a lot of the singers need to be more multifaceted. Like, you can do country, you can do pop, you can do R&B, you can do some soul, you can do some jazz, you know, Lady Gaga up in there. But, like, the one thing in the music is that people are not making albums. Like, but But we're in a culture where people just want music. If you're not releasing consistently, you're it's not gonna work out for you. We're just in a different culture, and that's why I think it's dying. The music culture is dying. Majority of the music that we're consuming is all nostalgia. It's sampled because people don't. I mean, I am one of them. I don't really want to let go of the past because I like the 2000s way better than I do now. But like, I mean, I can't blame y'all. The charts were a lot more diverse back in 2000s. You had every genre charting in the top 10. And like, don't even get me started on mumble rappers. Majority of the music consumed today is hip hop. Pop has been on a decline, but let's not say it is on a decline. It is on a decline, but there is a few people who are reviving pop music, the pop punk. We got Olivia Rodrigo, we got Willow Smith, we got Avril Lavigne. She put out her album. She came back with some bops. This pop punk alt boy era is so different from what we've had, and I think everyone deserves to have a chance to be able to show their artistic abilities and stop letting these labels hold them back. Oh yeah, I do want to get into the labels. So basically, these labels. Oh, okay. I can tell you the worst off the top of my head. RCA. RCA is the worst label. Mind you, I don't know why these people are trying to sign the RCA in 2022. Tinashe, the disrespect she has had is absolutely disgusting. Normani. Then you got Miley Cyrus. They're not in there. Tinashe is independent. Like, people need to stop signing with their Warner Records and Columbia are much better. Atlantic, if you got Atlantic, they will promote you. But like, a lot of these labels shelve so many albums. It's absolutely insane because like lots of these people want more. They want their music to be put out, and these labels are telling them that they do not want this certain sound, and then the artist gets mad about the artists get mad because they don't want to do a certain song or sound, or these nasty rapist producers who still get promoted in the music industry. Dr. Puke, that's one of them. But there is plenty of nasty people in the music industry that people still allow to work, even though they have not been jailed yet. Some have, you know. Mr. Kelly is jailed. He is his crime was against women. He's over. He's been over. But the thing is, unless you don't, what I say, sell your soul to the music industry, you're not going anywhere. You are not going anywhere unless if you sacrifice somebody, which people, I'm just saying, because people don't want to believe all this, the light stuff, and I'm like, it is real. No matter how hard you try to deny, all this stuff is real. It is agenda being pushed. But anyway, that's a different subject I can talk about. But the music industry as a whole is a sham. I agree, music brings everyone together, but the peak the peak of music really was in 2014 because it shifted. It really shifted the amount of things we see in the music industry. Pop culture has shifted. The way society views women has shifted. People are more open, but people are still being overly sensitive, which really doesn't help the artist in the long run, whoever the artist is. And because, let's talk about the demographics. If you want to have a long-standing career, you need to be able to. Okay, first of all, celebrities aren't relatable. They will never be relatable. No matter how hard they try to be relatable, they aren't. They're rich. Like I said, the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. That's really how it goes. We're at the bottom of the barrel. They're at the top. they keep the standards up. It's actually pretty crazy. Um, it's really just what's that word called? Capitalism. Capitalism. That's what it is. The rich feed off capitalism. It's absolutely a true thing. I want to talk about so much more stuff, but I'm getting out of breath because like I have so much to talk about. Um, we can talk more about demographics. For example, some artists that weren't able to, for example, I think Katy Perry. I love Katy Perry. I actually went to a Katy Perry concert. I went to her witness tour. Your girl, I bought her album on iTunes. I got her physical album and I streamed it. So yes, I did help the sales. And also, she, Katy Perry was popping in the 2000s and during the 2010s, but like people, it was her hair, I guess was the subject, her black hair. She went to blonde, and the public didn't like that. But like, I just find it strange how artists can change their hair and like your music will flop. Okay, no, Katy Perry's music didn't flop. Katy Perry had 6 number one songs on Teenage Dream. She has the most. I think it was 5. But like, there was like a reissue or whatever. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is that we're in a climate where number ones are so easy to get. That's another thing I want to talk about. If you're on Stan Twitter like I am, um, there's chart update accounts. So basically, all the points factor into where the chart placement is. So you got the streams, you got radio play, you got airplay, you got pure sales, and like the sales from like the site or whatever. Like all that is combined into it, and they put it on the Billboard chart. So what they do is the sales, they do estimates as to what day, because okay, so the main thing is the points. So the lower the points on the charts, the easier it is to get a number one. So let's say one let's say they got 50K pure sales, and the rest are all under there. It not just that, but streams can be messed with, which is a very true thing because and also payola. Payola is just a whole other subject, but I actually really do think it is way easier to get a number one with streaming. Like it's basically just you're just kind of fixing like all these streaming parties, like the fans and everyone, they push so hard that week because that's why artists release on Fridays, so that way it's the whole week, so they can get all the um calculate everything for when it debuts on the Hot 100. um so if one has 50K sales, the other one has 80K sales. Sometimes the one with 50K, if they have more radio play, they could get a number one. And the points are so low where, for example, Beyonce, she has a song. She could easily get that number one. She's a pure sales girl, so is Taylor Swift. Lady Gaga was in a pure sales era. But, like, if you can't sell, you're not going to get paid. But the points, it's so easy to get a number one because the points are so damn low. They're so low. They're like 200 to 300 points. If you go back in the day from like the 2000s to during the 2010s, the chart points was it, there's a song that did a trend where everyone was dancing to. I'm having a brain fart, but it had over 1,100 points. Imagine if we still had those amount of points these days. It would be so hard to get number one. But these were big artists. Like, the pure sales were insane. I don't know. I could just talk about more, but I just want to stop off here not to make this video too long. I'll make another video about pop culture. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. It was just more a podcast style type. But yeah, I'll see you at my next video. I'm not sure what my point was. Was my point? I don't know. I was just kind of rambling. But anyways, hope you enjoyed that and stay tuned for my next video. Bye.